You wake up on your birthday, and the first thing you notice is the weight, not the gentle weight of blankets or the soft pressure of morning light through the curtains, but something heavier, something that sits on your chest like an uninvited guest. Your phone buzzes with automated notifications. It's your special day, and you wonder when exactly birthdays became something to survive rather than celebrate. The office group chat springs to life with a cheerful chorus of happy birthday, followed by cake emojis you didn't ask for, and you type back, "Thanks so much," while your stomach tightens into a familiar knot. There's a cake waiting at work. You already know. Someone will insist on a group photo where you'll wear a smile that doesn't quite reach your shoulders, doesn't quite touch that hollow place behind your ribs where real joy is supposed to live. And later, when someone asks what your plans are, you'll say what you always say, "Oh, nothing special. Just a quiet dinner at home." But what you really mean is, "Please don't make this bigger than it needs to be. Please don't look at me too closely today." You've heard the judgments before, haven't you? They land like small stones. How ungrateful. You should be thankful you're alive. Every birthday is a blessing. Maybe you've even thrown those stones at yourself, wondering if there's something fundamentally broken in you, some essential wire that got crossed somewhere along the way. You rehearse polite deflections in the shower, practice your grateful face in the mirror, prepare yourself for the marathon of responding to well-meaning messages with just the right amount of enthusiasm, not too little to seem rude, not too much to seem fake. But what if I told you that your complicated relationship with your birthday isn't a character flaw? What if it's actually an ancient map, written in the invisible ink of memory, telling the story of what happened when celebration and pain got tangled together in your nervous system? What if not wanting to celebrate your birthday isn't about ingratitude at all, but about a body that learned, somewhere along the way, that being seen meant being hurt, that expectations meant disappointment, that birthdays were less about joy and more about performance? Think about it. When a date becomes welded to shame, the birthday party where no one showed up, the year dad didn't call, the fight that erupted over the dinner table while candles melted into the frosting your body remembers. It keeps score in ways your conscious mind might not even register. When celebration got stitched together with loneliness, when attention meant criticism, when special meant exposed, your nervous system learned to brace itself every time the calendar circled back to that date. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Your body is trying to protect you from a hurt it remembers. Even if your mind has tried to forget, you might not hate your birthday at all. What you hate is the weight that got placed on it, a pressure to perform happiness, the obligation to be grateful on cue, the exhausting dance of meeting everyone else's expectations while your own needs go unmet. When you say it's just another day, what your body might really be saying is, "Please don't ask me to pretend everything is fine. Please don't make me smile when I'm falling apart inside. Please just let me exist without the spotlight, without the scrutiny, without having to justify why I'm not more excited about marking another year of a life that sometimes feels too heavy to carry." And here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. Being quiet about your birthday isn't coldness sometimes. It's the only way you learned to survive repeated disappointments. Not wanting a party doesn't mean you don't want to be loved. It might mean you want to be loved without conditions, without performance, without having to earn it by being the perfect birthday girl or boy. Your resistance isn't a defect. It's data. It's information about what happened when you were too young to protect yourself, when the people who were supposed to make you feel special on your special day dropped the ball, or worse, used it as another opportunity to remind you of all the ways you weren't enough. Imagine walking into a hotel room after the longest day of your life, and there it is, the blackout curtain, heavy, dark, impenetrable. You pull it closed, and suddenly the world outside disappears. No harsh morning light, no prying eyes from the building across the street, no reminders that life is happening out there while you're in here, trying to catch your breath. That curtain becomes your salvation, your fortress, your permission to exist without being seen. This is exactly what you've built around your birthday, a blackout curtain made of carefully crafted habits and defensive strategies. You don't mention the date to new friends. You go dark on social media the week before. You laugh at yourself before anyone else can, making jokes about getting older, about being nothing special, about how birthdays are just capitalism's way of selling more cake. You accept the inevitable office celebration with a smile that never quite reaches your eyes, nodding and thanking everyone while some essential part of you floats up to the ceiling, watching it all happen to someone else. These aren't quirks or personality traits, they're the heavy fabric you've pulled across your life to block out the blinding glare of other people's expectations. And here's the thing about blackout curtains: they work. They protected you from the disappointment when mum forgot again, from the humiliation of that surprise party where you broke down crying, from the annual reminder that you're not where you thought you'd be by now. But when you never crack them open, not even an inch, something happens. The whole house starts to lose color. The air gets stale. You forget what natural light feels like on your skin. You don't need to tear the whole curtain down, maybe. You just need to learn how to adjust the opening. A sliver of light here, a gentle breeze there, all on your terms. Your body keeps a calendar you're not even aware of. 2 weeks before your birthday, that familiar irritation starts creeping in like fog. Someone asks for your birth date for some innocent form, and your chest tightens. What if they remember? The week before, you're crafting escape routes, preparing your standard deflection. Oh, I'm not doing anything special. Really don't want any fuss. You say it casually, but what you're really doing is building a wall, brick by brick, trying to prevent anyone from organizing something that will make you feel exposed, scrutinized, obligated to perform joy you don't feel. The day arrives and your face does what it's supposed to do. It smiles, it thanks, it poses for pictures. But inside you're counting the minutes until it's over, until you can stop pretending that this feels good. Your phone explodes with messages, each one a small weight added to your shoulders, not because you don't appreciate the sentiment, but because now you owe them all something: a response, enthusiasm, the performance of someone who's thrilled to be celebrated. And tomorrow, when it's over, you'll lie in bed replaying every interaction, cataloging your failures. Should have been warmer, should have seemed more grateful. Why can't I just be normal about this? This isn't coldness. This isn't ingratitude. This is a body that learned to survive by dimming its own light. There's a moment in the ancient story of Job that religious teachers tend to skip over, uncomfortable with its raw humanity. Before he becomes the poster child for patience, before the sermons about enduring suffering with grace, Job was just a man who had everything: family gathered around his table, laughter echoing through his home, the security of knowing his place in the world. Then, in the span of a few devastating days, the universe collapsed. His children gone, his wealth vanished, his health shattered. And in that crushing darkness, Job doesn't philosophize about the meaning of suffering. He doesn't offer platitudes about God's mysterious ways. He curses the day he was born. Let the day perish when I was born. He cries into the void. Why didn't I die at birth? Why was I ever laid on my mother's knees? This isn't the job they teach in Sunday school. This is a man whose pain has overflowed the banks of language itself, whose grief is so total that he wishes he could reach back through time and erase his own beginning. He's not being dramatic or ungrateful. He's being devastatingly honest about what happens when suffering attaches itself to existence itself. And here you are, maybe not cursing your birth, but when your birthday approaches, don't you feel that same shadow creeping in? That whisper that says, "I wish I didn't have to face this day." Job's words give us permission to acknowledge something profound. Sometimes a date becomes so saturated with loss that celebrating it feels like betrayal. Your birthday might be the anniversary of when Dad left, the marker of another year without the baby you lost, the annual reminder that you're still not married, still not successful, still not the person everyone expected you to become. It's the day that forces you to count what's missing instead of what's present. What strikes me most about Job's story is that Scripture doesn't edit out his anguish. It's preserved there word for word, this man raging against his own existence. The ancient text makes room for someone who can't bring himself to celebrate life when life has brought nothing but pain. There's no divine lightning strike, no immediate punishment for his honesty. Instead, there's space sacred, space for the truth of human suffering. This matters because it dismantles the guilt that wraps around you when you can't muster enthusiasm for your birthday. Job shows us that even the most faithful, the most righteous, can reach a point where existence feels too heavy to celebrate. Your resistance to your birthday isn't a moral failing, it's the honest response of a heart that's learned to associate that date with disappointment, absence, or the cruel mathematics of comparing where you are to where you thought you'd be. When suffering gets welded to a date, that date becomes a trigger, not a celebration. And if an ancient text can hold space for a man who literally cursed the day he was born without condemning him, maybe you can release yourself from the shame of not wanting to celebrate yours. Your feelings aren't evidence of ingratitude, they're evidence of impact. They're proof that you've lived, loved, lost, and that some wounds don't heal just because the calendar says it's time to party. Job's curse wasn't born in a vacuum, it was the culmination of loss upon loss, each one carving deeper into his sense of safety in the world. And your resistance to birthdays, it has its own archaeology, layers of sediment laid down year after year, each one telling a story your body remembers even when your mind tries to forget. Picture a child's 7th birthday, the table set, the cake waiting, watching the clock as no one shows up. Or 13, your parents screaming at each other while candles melt into frosting, your wish that year just for the fighting to stop. 16, the surprise party that turned into public humiliation when you broke down crying, overwhelmed and exposed. 21, the first birthday after mum died, everyone trying to celebrate while grief sat at the table like an uninvited guest. These moments don't just pass, they burrow into your nervous system like seeds, growing into beliefs that feel as true as gravity. I'm not really important to anyone. That's what your brain concluded when Dad forgot 3 years in a row. People only remember out of obligation. That's the lesson from birthday wishes that felt hollow, performed rather than felt. If I expect anything, I'll just be disappointed. That's what you learned from promises that evaporated like morning dew. When the spotlight's on me, something goes wrong. That's the pattern your body recognized and filed away for future reference. I don't deserve to be celebrated. These beliefs aren't just thoughts, they're architects, building elaborate defensive structures. You tell everyone you don't care about birthdays, voice casual, heart armored. You sabotage plans before they can disappoint you, creating the very abandonment you're trying to avoid. You either micromanage every detail to prevent surprises, or you disappear entirely, ghosting your own life for a day. Sometimes you show up to your own party like an actor playing yourself, body present, soul retreated to some safe, untouchable place. Sarcasm becomes your shield, emotional distance your moat. And yes, these strategies work sort of. They protect you from the kind of exposure that once left you bleeding. But the cost accumulates like compound interest, the quiet loneliness of never letting anyone truly celebrate you, the exhaustion of maintaining all that armor, relationships strained by what others read as rejection when it's really just protection. You feel like an alien watching humans engage in this bizarre birthday ritual you can't quite understand. The self-criticism afterward is brutal. Why can't I just be normal? Why is this so hard for me? Layer onto this the cultural weight of age milestones. I thought I'd be married by now, successful by now, healed by now, and birthdays become annual performance reviews where you're always falling short. Depression flattens your capacity for joy until celebrations feel like speaking a foreign language. Anxiety makes being observed feel like being X-rayed, every flaw visible, every inadequacy exposed. But here's what psychology tells us, translated from the clinical to the deeply personal. When consistent care is missing in childhood, your nervous system never learns to fully relax into being celebrated. You're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And when loss or depression have been your companions, pleasure feels dangerous way. Risk hoping when disappointment has been so reliable. This isn't weakness. This is your system protecting you the only way it knows how. The armor that once saved your life might now be suffocating you. That phrase, "you've perfected, it's just another day," was medicine when you first swallowed it. It protected you from the crushing weight of hope in houses where hope was dangerous. It shielded you from disappointment when disappointment was the only reliable guest at your party. You learned to expect nothing, want nothing, need nothing, and for a while, that emptiness felt safer than the alternative. But here's the paradox that keeps so many of us trapped. The very strategies that helped us survive become the walls that keep love out. You've become so good at not needing anything that you've forgotten how to receive. So practiced at disappointment that you can't recognize genuine care when it's standing right in front of you, holding a cupcake with a single candle, wanting nothing from you except your presence. Think about Job again. After his curse, after the raw howl of pain, something shifted. Not immediately. Real healing never happens in a dramatic moment of revelation, but slowly, tentatively, he began to let others back in. His friends, for all their flawed theology and misguided comfort, sat with him in his grief, and eventually, somehow, he allowed life to touch him again. New relationships, new possibilities, not replacements for what was lost, but proof that closing yourself off completely means closing yourself off from everything: the pain, yes, but also the unexpected moments of sweetness that might still be possible. You wear your low expectations like a badge of honor. Look how little I need. Look how self-sufficient I am. I don't make a fuss. I don't burden anyone with my wants. And there's strength in that. Real strength, born from real necessity. When asking for what you needed meant ridicule or rejection, learning not to need was genius level adaptation. Your younger self deserves a standing ovation for figuring out how to survive. But what if, and just sit with this for a moment, what if the context has changed but your defenses haven't gotten the memo? What if there are people in your life now who actually want to celebrate you, not because they have to, but because knowing you has added something to their world? What if your refusal to be celebrated isn't protecting you anymore, but actually depriving others of the chance to show you that you matter to them? This isn't about suddenly throwing yourself a huge party or pretending you're someone you're not. Humility isn't self-erasure existing without needing to prove your worth or apologize for taking up space. True humility might actually mean accepting that you're worthy of acknowledgement, that your presence in this world has impact, that your birth was not a mistake or a burden, but a thread in the larger tapestry that would be incomplete without you. The solution isn't to demolish all your boundaries. Boundaries are sacred, necessary, life-giving. But maybe, just maybe, it's time to install some windows in those walls. to practice discernment instead of wholesale rejection, to consider that avoiding your birthday entirely might have been the right solution back then, but now it might need what therapists call right-sizing, adjusting the defense to match the actual, current threat level, not the remembered one. Your body starts preparing for your birthday weeks before your mind admits it's coming. It begins with a low hum of irritation, like psychological tinnitus always, there in the background, coloring every interaction with an edge you can't quite name. Someone casually mentions birthdays and your shoulders tighten. A coworker asks about your weekend plans and your throat closes slightly. You find yourself making self-deprecating jokes about getting older before anyone else can, beating them to the punch like you're defusing a bomb only you can see. Sleep becomes elusive. You lie awake at 3 a.m., rehearsing responses to questions nobody's asked yet. No big plans, just keeping it low-key. You practice the exact tone casual enough to discourage follow-up questions, warm enough to avoid seeming ungrateful. You consider deactivating your social media, or at least removing your birth date, imagining the relief of a day without the performance of public gratitude. When the day arrives, you move through it like you're walking underwater. Everything feels muffled, distant, happening to someone else. When well-meaning colleagues surprise you with a cake, something hot and angry flashes through you. How dare they ambush you with kindness you didn't ask for? Then immediately, the shame. What's wrong with me? They're trying to be nice. You smile, you thank them, you eat the cake that tastes like cardboard in your mouth. Later, you'll replay every interaction, cataloging your failures of appropriate enthusiasm. Job knew this feeling, the body's revolt against what the mind thinks it should feel. Even after his friends arrived to comfort him, he sat in silence for 7 days, his body speaking what words couldn't capture. Sometimes trauma lives in our tissues, not our thoughts. The resistance you feel isn't intellectual, it's cellular. Your nervous system remembers what your conscious mind has tried to forget. This isn't about pathology or diagnosis, it's about recognition. Your body is keeping score in ways that deserve respect, not judgment. When someone calls you to the front of the room and every fiber of your being wants to run, that's not weakness, that's wisdom. Your body remembers other times you were centered out, exposed, made vulnerable in spaces that weren't safe. It's trying to protect you the only way it knows how. 3 questions that might illuminate without wounding. First, where have you said "I'm fine" while your chest was screaming otherwise? Maybe it was last year, when everyone sang while you stood there, frozen smile plastered on your face, counting the seconds until you could disappear. Second, which relationship do you mistake for peace when it's really just silence? Perhaps it's the friend who never remembers your birthday, and you tell yourself you prefer it that way, but really you're just protecting yourself from hoping they might. Third, what request have you swallowed because asking felt too vulnerable? The quiet dinner you actually wanted, instead of the party everyone assumed you'd love, the day off you needed but couldn't justify. If any of these questions land in tender places, that's not failure, that's information. Your body is trying to tell you something about what you need, what you fear, what you're still carrying. And listening to those signals isn't giving in to dysfunction. It's honoring the intelligence of a system that's been keeping you safe all along. The path back to yourself doesn't require demolitions, just the courage to crack open the blackout curtain, one finger width at a time. You don't need a breakthrough. You need a through line, a series of micro movements that honor where you've been while gently suggesting where you might go. Start here with the smallest possible step. Name what this date actually means to you, not what it should mean, not what others want it to mean, but what lives in your bones when you think about it. Take your phone or find some paper and complete this sentence. For me, my birthday means double quotes. Let everything surface the year Dad didn't call. The surprise party that felt like ambush. But also maybe that one quiet birthday when your best friend just sat with you. No expectations, just presence. Write it messy. Write it angry. Write it true. When you name the monster, it shrinks. It transforms from a shapeless dread into something specific. Something you can look at without being consumed. When I name it, I reduce its weight. Second micro step. Choose this year's format consciously. Instead of defaulting to "I don't want anything," which is really saying "I don't want to be disappointed again," ask yourself, what would feel bearable and true? Maybe it's coffee with the one person who doesn't need you to perform happiness. Maybe it's a solo hike where you can feel your age in your legs instead of in others' expectations. Maybe it's cooking your grandmother's soup, the one that tastes like being loved without conditions. Tell one safe person what you actually want, even if what you want is simplicity. I cannot want a party and still deserve care. I can arrange something in advance that honors who I actually am. Third step. Set boundaries that protect connection instead of severing it. Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges with guardrails. Practice these words until they feel possible in your mouth. I appreciate your thoughtfulness, but big celebrations overwhelm me. Could we do something smaller? Or, surprises make me anxious. If you want to acknowledge my birthday, I'd prefer something simple and private. Or, it's important to me that this day stays low-key. Can you help me protect that? Or even, I want to be with you, just not like this. Coffee next week instead. These aren't rejections, they're invitations to love you in ways you can actually receive. Fourth movement. Create one small ritual that aligns with your actual values. Not what Instagram says birthdays should look like, but what feels true to you. Write a letter from today you to last year you, acknowledging what you've survived. Donate something to honor the fact that you're still here to give. List 3 small victories no one else knows about. Visit the place that makes you remember who you were before the world told you who to be. I don't need an event. I can offer myself a gesture. Final step, the bravest one. If the pain is too large to carry alone, reaching for help is its own celebration. If your birthday opens wounds that won't stop bleeding, if the darkness feels total, finding a therapist or calling a friend isn't giving up, it's the ultimate birthday gift to yourself. Asking for help is also celebrating that I exist. The language we use shapes the reality we live. Instead of "I'm broken," try "I learned to protect myself this way." Instead of "I hate my birthday," experiment with "I'm choosing a format that respects my needs." Watch how the air shifts when you change the words. Job's story doesn't end with his curse. That raw moment of anguish, "Why was I ever born?" wasn't his conclusion but his beginning. What followed was messier and more human than most sermons acknowledge. Arguments with friends who didn't understand, silence that stretched like desert sand, questions thrown at the heavens that came back as bigger questions. But slowly, through that long wrestle with meaning, something shifted. Not a magical restoration where everything returns to how it was that's Hollywood, not Hebrew scripture. Instead, Job found new language beyond his initial howl of pain. He discovered that honoring what he'd lost didn't mean staying frozen in that loss forever. And here's what matters for you. Sitting with your own complicated feelings about marking another year. Job shows us that the journey from cursing your existence to finding new meaning isn't betrayal of your penets, the natural evolution of being human. He took his suffering seriously without making it his permanent address. He let his grief have its say without letting it have the final word. You're allowed the same journey. The anger, indifference, or dread you feel about your birthday isn't your endings, your honest starting point. And starting points, by definition, are meant to be departed from. even if that departure happens in increments so small you barely notice you're moving. Between the party everyone expects you to want and the total isolation you've imposed on yourself, there's unexplored territory. A middle ground that doesn't exist on anyone else's map because it has to be drawn by you, for you. What if Job's real gift to us isn't patience, but permission? Permission to admit when life feels too heavy to celebrate. Permission to slowly, carefully, build new associations with dates that have been soaked in sorrow. Permission to recognize that your resistance to your birthday isn't about ingratitude. It's about the accumulation of moments when that day became dangerous to your heart. Let me return to the truth we started with, because some truths bear repeating until they sink beneath thought into knowing. Not wanting to celebrate your birthday is, more often than not, a signal of unnamed emotional needs and untold stories, not evidence of coldness or ingratitude. When a date becomes fused with shame, loneliness, conflict, loss, or the exhausting pressure to perform happiness, your body learns to defend itself by avoiding or minimizing that date. But understanding this mechanism, really understanding it, opens a door. You can choose consciously how to engage with your birthday, creating boundaries with others' expectations, while perhaps, maybe, possibly creating small rituals that actually align with who you are, instead of automatically following society's script. The world will keep insisting that birthdays require spectacle, that quiet acknowledgement isn't enough, that you owe everyone a performance of joy. But maybe the deepest celebration is simply existing without betraying yourself. The value of your life isn't measured by the size of your party, but by the tenderness with which you allow yourself to exist in truth. In the next 24 hours, choose one small gesture that feels real. Write 3 true sentences about what this day means. Send one honest message to someone who matters. Schedule that quiet coffee with a friend who doesn't need you to be anything but present. Or simply give yourself permission to feel whatever you feel without judgment. Notice how you breathe after. You can choose the format of this day, because it's not the obligation to celebrate that defines your life's worth, but the way you allow yourself to exist with authenticity and self-respect.